All right, here are some of my trades today. I had sort of a bad opening and had some bad trades, but then I had a couple good trades on Qs and the SPY here. What I liked about the Qs here is here's the 60-minute zoomed out. You can see that. Let me back it up a little bit so you don't see today just yet. So this is what it looked like to me. It looked like a big head and shoulders here. If you look on the daily here, this was a shoulder, head, and then it was coming back up for the second shoulder. And I liked this shoulder because this aligned really well with these 3 days here. And you got that psychological level 400. So just overall, I was just seeing 400 as resistance. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see the VPA here. The volume really cuts off right after 400. And that's when it made that couple days up move and then a really fast drop with volume. So price had trickled back up to 400 today, and that's when I initially tried it for a long, but then went for a short here. So let's go over that. So here's what it looked like today. You could see yesterday it was holding 400, which almost said that it was value. It broke up, was holding 400, and this morning we had a gap down, but then it did rip up, and it ripped up with some decent volume. Had good RVol, but then Powell started talking. So I did initially try a long, thinking that this, 400 was value. Yesterday it was breaking through it. Maybe we were breaking through this shoulder, and this was no longer a head and shoulders, but turned around really quickly, and I got out, which is all right. And then I became short biased, but I didn't chase it, which I'm happy about, even though this would have been a good short right here. But, I just wasn't sure if that was just one attempt and it was going to bounce off pre-market high here or whatever and then go up some more. So, but then after seeing it retest and then come all the way down to VWAP, I think it was worth trying a short here. And by the way, when I was going for that breakout, here's an ATR, so it had the potential for a whole another half ATR move. So I feel like I pretty much followed my directions there and my rules. So here I got short. For some reason, I hit the hotkey so fast that it got me out. So it shorted and then just covered right away. And then the stock moved around a little bit longer in this candle, got short again. Really, I would have liked to get gotten in on a limit order right up here. You could see these wicks. I mean, clearly there was selling pressure here. And then that really fast drop here. So, and I got a big portion of the move. Got that move, sold a couple times, and then added in twice here, and then got another good move. So, and I did overtrade it a bit, thinking it was going to continue. These were more, my average was super high. It was way up here. And so every time I added, my average came down a little bit, and I was getting out of my ads right away. So technically it wasn't moving my ad down too much, or my average down too much, but it kind of was too. So, and then, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So and you can see here that it really didn't sell off anymore. You got a decent sell off from VWAP, but that's about it. So the SPY, I did overtrade quite a bit, so I don't want to show it, but we can go over it here because I definitely scalped it quite a bit. I got a decent long in here, and then I eventually got a good short in here, and I really scalped it a lot in here, and I overtraded it a bunch in here, but you could just see how much volume. I mean, this thing was over 2 RVol for SPY, and that's a lot. So it did move back up to VWAP, but you can see here that there wasn't necessarily a big increase in volume. But if you notice here, I would say that volume did increase as it started dropping, and this was sort of what I was waiting for. So yeah, price went all the way back up. Sort of the last resistance area was this level here, which aligned with VWAP. and you can see it sort of compressed, consolidated. And really I think this was the key to when it started. It compressed more and more. Then you got what looked like a breakout. Like this looked like, oh, this is going up. Then look at this straight up engulfing candle. That's a perfect clue. You combine that with definitely increase of volume on the up move and then increase of volume on the down move. And you combine that with where it's at. Like you want to see an anomaly like this or a unique move like this around the bigger level or around VWAP or around where you think it's where the inflection is. So this was and we can see many different anomalies at our levels, but I think this was one of the many that work really well. So and if we even put it to a 2-minute candle, it'll probably look, well, that looks similar. It's also an engulfing. Let's look at a 5-minute. So here's your 5-minute, which is not too bad. It shows making a new high and then a strong down move with some increase of volume. So, and then it makes a little consolidation and then eventually breaks it. So I don't know, this isn't bad either, but all of this can be used. The neckline right here, once that breaks, it was going down and it had increasing volume all the way down. So you got a nice sell-off to low of day and then even further. And I thought potentially it would sell all the way down to the 455, which it almost did actually. And then if it would have gotten down there faster, maybe it could have gone down to this 454.50. So that was pretty cool. Definitely the sell-off had to do with the Powell talk. But I do think that, again, I say this a lot, but when we have really good levels that we understand, like a really good head and shoulders, a really good range, a lot of times the news coincides with those levels. So I think this was a perfect spot to short. And then you combine that with Powell's about to talk, basically, which means breaking news to an extent. Volatility is about to occur. You have a good level, so you could either go short or long. And in this case, head and shoulders is more of a reversal or a resistance point here. So this was pretty cool as well. The VIX, we use the VIX as another variable to help tell us that the SPY might be turning around right up here at VWAP. I mean, we already think that there's a potential for a bounce down from VWAP when you're dealing with the trending stock, but we weren't sure if it was going to break up and continue and hit a bid and sort of revert to the mean and go back up. But once it got around this VWAP, we looked at the VIX, and if you see here, this is the open. VIX moved up when Powell talked, when SPY sold off, and then during all of this, VIX made a nice range here. And while the SPY was going up here towards VWAP, VIX was coming down, and it went down further, and we felt like this was a really good support area. I mean, if we were trading this like a normal stock, this is a pretty strong stock. It made a nice high, sold off, but didn't keep going. So it's almost like a big flag or a big range in a strong stock today. Well, it sells down to this 2650, which was support. So realistically, this would be a good time to potentially go long and trade this from down here back to up here. And so when we saw it get here, we're thinking, well, if this does hold and starts going up, then VWAP would reject it here, and that's what happened. So that was pretty cool. So as this started to move up here, SPY was selling off with volume. So this sort of told us, was kind of giving us a clue and telling us ahead of time. And the VIX was super high today, 28. So it was definitely in play. You can see here the VIX on the daily, pretty much topping out here in the last few months of 28, 29. So hasn't gotten much higher than that. So yeah, I had some other trades on Mara and Apple and some other things, some smaller paper cuts, but I really didn't like my trade on Mara. I was basically playing a range trade from the bottom of this range to the top. Felt like it was breaking this kind of midpoint and went long, but honestly, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it did get part of the way there, and maybe the sell-off had something to do with it, but didn't have high R-vol, etc. So it really wasn't an edge play for me. So there was a couple trades that I just kind of took paper cuts in, but still wasn't even worth trading. So mainly just happy with my SPY and Q trade, and we'll get back at it tomorrow. Thanks.